Alright, I posted the link.
Awesome. Awesome.
Alright, I guess we could start.
Alrighty, right. What's...
Are you there?
Alright. What's up, Live Squad? Welcome back to another ComboLG podcast. I am here with our host, Lima.
What's up?
And of course, I am your host, Avengers.
Alright, so another great week. Some close games. There weren't the blowouts of last week. I think there was a couple blowouts, but nothing crazy like last week. A lot of this was close games this week.
Oh, definitely. Like, there are so many games you would not have thought of being a close game, and then they turn out to be.
Yeah.
Especially with some of these higher tier players.
Yeah, like looking at this first game, 41-38. That game came down to a last minute touchdown by the Chiefs to win the game. And that was a gutsy call. I don't know if you saw the stream, but I was watching it, and it was 4th and 6, basically 4th and goal from the 6-yard line, but there were 11 seconds left. He had no timeouts, and I mean he had to score anyway, so it didn't matter that he had no timeouts, but he called a running play and ran it in from the 6-yard line for a touchdown to win the game. So that was pretty cool.
I saw the very end, like I saw the last minute of the game because I was busy, but I looked in at the last minute, and it was the gutsiest call. I would never have thought someone would call that at that last moment. Yeah,
it was a very gutsy call, but as you can see from the stats, 358 rush yards, so he was eating, like, he was rushing really well, so that probably had a lot to do with the call. 21 pass yards only, so I guess that's why, looking at that, he would go run instead of pass.
Oh yeah, and then the Patriots, of course, no rushing, but passing, like there's no tomorrow. But having the 3 turnovers, like, as we always say, guys, it's the turnovers that's going to get you.
Yeah, and as you can see, a 3-point game, those 3 turnovers definitely hurt.
But of course, we go into the passing, and it's a good game for Tom Brady. Yeah. It was a good game. 379 yards, 5 touchdowns. Still 3 interceptions, only sacked twice, along with 75.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes only 21 yards.
But 379 pass yards against the Chiefs defense, who has not allowed like a good pass game by anyone. So that's a great game considering that.
I would say that unless the Chiefs threw away the 4 times, he only completed 3 of the 7 passes.
Yeah.
So unless he threw it into coverage and just didn't get intercepted.
But I mean, if the way the mindset I play by is like, if you're a running team, and for me, if I'm a running team and I call a pass play, I'm only looking at like 1 to 2 reads, and then I throw it away or run with it, just so I don't risk interception or anything like that.
Oh yeah. Okay, but the rushing game.
Yeah, going into the rushing, you see Latavius Murray, 26 attempts, 280 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then from the Patriots, you have Keith Marshall, 17 attempts for 62 yards.
In the receiving game, though, Brandon Cooks, man, big game for him. 6 receptions, 227 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And for Kansas City was Tyreek Hill with 1 reception and 11 yards.
Yeah, and going into the defensive side, we go to sacks. As you can see, 1 from Derek Rivers from the Patriots, and then Tim Jernigan and Justin Houston each tied with 1 from the Chiefs.
In interceptions, the 3 interceptions come from Justin Houston, Tre'Davious White, and Kentrell Bryce.
Alright, let's look at
Forced
forced fumbles
fumbles.
here. You see one by Derek Rivers, but it doesn't look like there was a recovery.
Offense, yeah. Looks like offense recovered it.
But there was a defensive
Uh,
touchdown. Tre'Davious White with the pick six.
any kick return, punt returns, none. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for the win. Good luck to both of y'all.
Next game, another
Next
close
is
one.
26-24.
Yeah.
Cowboys come out on top, like you said, but not in a big way, like people would think. The undefeated team only losing by 2.
Yeah, this was a really close divisional game. It threw us off. I mean, I don't know about you. It threw me off though. I didn't expect it to. Even though DeFucha was undefeated, the Cowboys played pretty well against them last season. So I was expecting kind of a close game, but not this close.
Oh no, I was not coming. I think coming down to 2 points.
And not only just 2 points, but it was a safety that won the game for him, basically.
Oh yeah, it was that safety. And if you look at the stats, it's kind of close. More rushing for the for the Cowboys than the Giants. More passing
Yeah.
from the Giants than the Cowboys. Giants not having any turnovers. So really, it looks like. But if you really look, 3 turnovers by the Cowboys. Maybe it looks like the Giants might have not been able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, probably not. But going into the passing game, you see Davis Webb, 165 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, sacked 4 times, and then Alex Smith, 94 yards, 2 interceptions, and he was not sacked behind that Cowboys O-line, so it wasn't like he was pressured into throwing those picks. It's possible, but
In the rushing game, Ezekiel Elliott had 20 attempts, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Paul Perkins, 13 attempts, 57 yards, and no touchdowns.
then going into receiving, you see from the Giants, it was Sterling Shepard with 4 receptions, 76 yards, and then the leader from Dallas was Cameron Brate, the tight end, with 2 receptions for 47 yards.
Defensively for sacks, David Irving with 2, Taco Charlton with 1.5, and Malik Collins with half. So 3 pretty young guys, all on the D line getting a sack, or
Yeah.
half a sack. It's Malik Collins.
And going over to interceptions, you see the linebackers Zadarius Smith with 1 and Janoris Jenkins with 1, and a decent return from Zadarius Smith.
Forced fumbles won by B.J. Goodson, and a forced fumble recovery by Nick Stanford, rookie out of USC.
And actually 2 defensive touchdowns by the Giants, that pick 6 by Zadarius Smith, and then the fumble 6 by Nick Stanford.
And David Irving with that safety.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And a punt return touchdown by Jakeem Grant. Long of 41 yards.
Alright, so good job to the Cowboys winning that close one. Hard fight by the Giants. And they do play each other again, so should see a good matchup next time out of them.
Oh yeah. Next comes more of a blowout than any of the other games on this list. Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. Pittsburgh coming out on top pretty much in every aspect except for turnovers, 5 by each of them.
Yeah, that was a pretty
Baltimore
high
only
turnover
scoring in
game.
the fourth. Baltimore's only score came in the 4th quarter with 13 points.
Yeah, so it could have been Steelers kind of let his guard down maybe a little bit because it's the end of the game and he was up by that big of a score. But either way, he did put the points on the board. But as you can see, he other than the turnovers, this game was kind of dominated by the Steelers yardage-wise.
Ooh, if you go down the red zone percentage, neither one was very good in the red zone.
40 and 33. Alright, so going into the passing game, ooh, you see Big Ben with a big day yardage-wise. He had 398 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he did throw 4 interceptions, and he was sacked twice, or sorry, 5 times. And then the Ravens, Johnny Ortega Jr., the rookie, out of Louisville, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, and he was sacked 5 times as well. And then rushing, you see Le'Veon Bell, 19 attempts, 105 yards, and no touchdowns. And then the quarterback, Johnny Ortega Jr., 7 attempts, 79 yards. So it looked like the Steelers couldn't really contain him that well.
Oh no, but at the same time, Baltimore couldn't contain Le'Veon Bell. And it's
That's true.
5.5 average, but still take that. That's a first down every rush. Actually, it's more. It's 11 yards every 2 rushes.
But going into receiving, you see Antonio Brown had 4 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Jeremy Maclin with 2 receptions, 84 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
In the defensive side, though, for sacks, leading for the Steelers, T.J. Watt, a game for him, 3 sacks. And for Baltimore, was Brandon Boykin with 2.
A corner leading in sacks for the Ravens.
Ooh.
Alright, so there were a lot of interceptions thrown. As you can see, Mike Mitchell with a huge game defensive-wise, 4 interceptions. And leader from Baltimore was Camille Correa with 2 interceptions.
In forced fumbles, we have. I think there's
None.
one. No, there's none, but there's a fumble recovery by Ladarius Webb.
Maybe it was. Maybe he just ran it. Maybe it was a butt fumble.
No, it was a block kick by Alton Wusu, rookie out of TDU. That gave Ladarius Webb the fumble recovery.
That could have been one of those in the red zone, but yeah. And as you can see, Shazier did have a pick 6.
Kick return, none.
Nothing there.
None. But congratulations to the Steelers in a divisional matchup such as this. Good luck to both of y'all in the rest of y'all's season.
Yep. Going into this next game, it was another division matchup. The Bills and the Dolphins, and as you could see, Bills coming out on top, 29-18, and he did really not necessarily dominate, but he led in pretty much every stat except for pass yards. He did have 1 turnover compared to the Dolphins having 3, 192 team rushing yards, and then 221 pass yards from the Dolphins. And time of possession was also led by the Bills.
Oh yeah, it wasn't dominating if you look by score.
No.
Like it looks like the Dolphins was being able to keep himself in the game, not like completely finish, but keep himself there.
Yeah. Alright, so going into passing, Dak Prescott, 244 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And his long was a 92, so that was a pretty good play, obviously. Sacked 3 times, compared to Tyrod Taylor with 75 yards, 1 interception, and not sacked at all.
Yeah, it's Dak has not had a good season in a while.
Yeah. And then, as you can see, going into rushing, the Bills have their workhorse, LaShawn McCoy, back. He came back pretty well with 19 attempts, 162 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So obviously, it was really good for the Bills to get him back.
And Jay Ajayi not doing well in the past few weeks. 18 attempts, 46 yards, and 2.6 average.
Yeah, that is 2 straight weeks.
Elijah McGuire, the backup for the Bills, had a better average than the main for the Dolphins.
Yeah. Alright, going into receiving though, obviously a familiar face here with Deshaun Royals, 3 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. And then leading from the Bills was Elijah McGuire, their backup running back, 3 receptions and 29 yards.
Defensively for sacks, we have 2.5 by Shaq Lawson leading the Bills, none from Miami, and in interceptions, Micah Hyde, Rudy Ford, and Thomas Bushrod, rookie out of LSU, having one, and rookie Simon Gallion, or Galon, as Lima likes to call him from USF, having one.
Yep, and then no forced fumbles. And there was a defensive touchdown by Simon Gallion, the rookie out of USF.
No punt or kick returns. Congratulations to the Bills for, like we always say, good divisional matchup.
Yep, and then another divisional matchup coming down here, Panthers and the Falcons, and if you remember, Falcons was undefeated before this, so the Panthers took him down, so that is one less undefeated. Yep, actually 2 undefeated teams fell this week, so 2 less undefeated teams, only 1 undefeated team left.
Which is you.
And I don't want to talk about it too much because I do have a tough schedule coming up, so there's no guarantee that I go undefeated. So, I mean, looking at these stats, really, Falcons really led everything, and the only thing that hurt them was the 5 turnovers compared to none by the Panthers.
And the red zone percentage for the Panthers had 100 with 2 red zone touchdowns.
Yeah.
The Falcons got in there 3 times for only 1 touchdown.
Yeah, but as you can, if he did take the field goals, that only would have gave him 6 more points, and he still would not have won. He would have lost by 2, but he might have played it differently.
Maybe 2 of those turnovers would be gone.
True. So yeah, honestly, the Falcons' defense played pretty well in this one, only allowing 121 total yards.
In the passing game, Matt Ryan, 131 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 4 times. And Cam Newton, 81 yards. Nothing besides sacked 5 times.
Yeah, and it's a little surprising that you would even put Geno Smith in if you got Matt Ryan doing, and then not really playing that bad. Maybe he just likes a little more of a mobile quarterback, but...
Yeah, but he threw 2 interceptions, probably.
Yeah. Alright, so going into rushing, Tevin Coleman, 17 attempts, 112 yards, and a touchdown. And not really a good game from... Yeah, and a fumble. Not really that good of a game from Christian McCaffrey. 17 attempts, 44 yards, but he did have the 2 touchdowns. But, I mean, is it 2 or 3 straight weeks where McCaffrey has pretty much been shut down? I think it's 2. Maybe 3.
I thought it was... But it's hurting him that his rushing game is really not going. But in the receiving game, Julio Jones, of course, leading 2 receptions, 61 yards and a touchdown. And for Carolina, Christian McCaffrey doing that dual back again, 7 receptions for 32 yards.
Yeah, but even in receptions, like when he's been a dual back, he's had more receiving yards as well. It's been almost 100 rush, 100 receiving. It seems like, so even that's gone down, even though he's leading the team in receiving yards. Alright, so going over to the defense side, 4 sacks, you see Mario Addison with 3 from the Panthers, and then leading from the Falcons was Frank Stanley, the rookie out of Clemson, with 2.
And interceptions, we have 3 by Carolina, James Bradbury, Deontay Sanders, rookie out of Texas A&M, and Darryl Worley.
Yeah.
Probably a pick 6 with that 96 return.
Yeah, it looks like it. So that was one of the red zone failures, obviously, by the Falcons. But as you can see, forced fumbles, we had 3. Darryl Worley, Kurt Coleman, and David Mayo. And were there any recoveries?
You have Kamal Ishmael and Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, that's weird that there's a Falcons player on there, but there was no fumble forced by the Falcons, and there was no block kicks.
Charles Johnson having a safety in that game for the Panthers too.
Yeah, and
so
then
if you really took away the red zone opportunities where he failed in the red zone, it could have been a tie
take
game.
away 2 field goals instead of turnovers, and then take away that safety. That's a tie game, yeah.
Defensive touchdowns, we have one by Darryl Worley, the pick 6 for 96 yards.
Yeah, and there was a punt return touchdown. C.J. Flash, the rookie out of Alabama, with an 80-yard punt return.
That's a nice punt return, but congratulations to the Panthers for taking
Yeah.
down another undefeated team, especially Super Bowl champion from last season. First season in 918, Super Bowl champion taken down.
Yeah, so
But
good job to
good
him.
luck.
Good
Good
luck
luck
in
to
that
both of
division
y'all.
too. There's
Yeah.
it's gonna be close in that division.
But of course we go into the next one, which is Colts versus Jets. Jets, I don't know, having up and down seasons last year and this year. Coming out on
Yeah.
top 33-26. Just
Yeah.
completely
And
dominating. But turnovers for both,
yeah.
even though they had one less turnover, just and red zone efficiency of 50% for the Jets. That means they went 4 times, only could get 2 in there. But it looks like it didn't hurt them very much. Probably capitalize on those turnovers.
Yeah, and going into passing, you see Blake Bortles led the Jets with 346 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And oh my God, Andrew Luck 281 yards, 6 interceptions, and he was sacked 6 times. Also, Blake Bortles was sacked 7 times. So a
Lord, that's
lot of
not a good game for
turnovers.
either.
Yeah, and neither one of their O lines protecting him that well.
In the
So
rushing game, though, Kristen Michael, 14 attempts, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Jarek McKinnon for the Colts, 14 attempts, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The
yeah,
rushing game for both sides looks like it dominated, though. O-line might have not been able to get the quarterback protection, but they allowed the run to happen on both sides.
yeah. I would say 14 attempts. I would say both teams should have ran it more with as many interceptions as they throw through.
Yeah.
But going over to receiving, you see Philip Dorsett from the Colts with 4 receptions, 104 yards. And then not a surprise, Robbie Anderson, 5 receptions, 102 yards for the Jets.
No, that's not surprising at all. For sacks, though, Ball Sheard for the Colts leading the whole game. Three sacks for him. That's a good
Yeah.
game,
And then a
especially
bunch
when
of
you're getting up in age.
yeah, definitely. He's not too old, but yeah, he was 7 years experience. He's getting up there. But as you could see, a lot of players with one. I'll just scroll through them real quick, but
And interceptions also. Lawrence Watts, rookie out of Delaware State with 2. Christian Jones with 2. And then T.J. Green, Carlton Hampton, rookie out of New Hampshire with 1. Daryl Morris with 1. It's just, poof.
yeah,
The Jets, it looked like the Jets did capitalize those with those 4 interceptions by
yeah.
Lawrence Watts and Christian Jones.
And then going over to forced fumbles, you see 2 from the Colts, Barcavius Mingo and Dante Johnson, each having 1.
And only
For their
one
fumble
recovery by
recoveries,
Darrell
yeah.
Washington.
And no defensive touchdowns.
Oh.
No punt returns or kick returns either.
4 out of 5 field goals for them, 2 out of 4 for them. Did they just hang on? 1 touchdown. 4. Oh, okay. No, that's 28. Oh, okay, yeah. That makes sense now. Well,
Alright, so
congratulations.
yeah, good job to the Jets. Good luck to both teams. And then next game here is a divisional game between the Jaguars and the Texans.
It's a I will say this, it's a surprise that Jacksonville won this game.
Yeah, I'm
Jacksonville
thinking the same thing.
This was their first one on the season. They were 0-6. Now 1-6.
And the Texans were actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're leading our division right now.
So yeah, a little bit of not a little bit, a pretty big upset there for the Jaguars. But looking at the stats, you see 288 total yards compared to 188, and then he also won the turnover battle, only having 2, and then the Texans had 4.
Owning possession time for the Jags too.
Yeah. Alright, so going into passing, you see the rookie Cameron Wolfe, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he was sacked 4 times. And then Deshaun Watson, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and sacked 6 times.
has not had a good season either. He is not
No,
having a
not at
good
all. And Leonard Fournette must be hurt here because he didn't have any carries. But Brian Hill, 13 attempts, 25 yards and a touchdown for the Jags. And then Lamar Miller, 11 attempts, 76 yards and a touchdown for the Texans.
Actually, Leonard Fournette had one carry again, one attempt, but no yards.
Maybe that attempt got him hurt.
Maybe. In receiving though, the receiving game, Allen Robinson, 5 receptions, 118 yards and a touchdown. And for Houston, it was DeAndre Hopkins, 4 receptions, 53 yards and a touchdown.
Yep, and then going over to the defensive side, sacks, you see Dante Fowler led the Jags with 2. And then Jadeveon Clowney, 3. Jadeveon Clowney leading the Texans with 1.5.
In interceptions,
Wow.
we have Kevin McBride, rookie out of Arizona State, with 4 interceptions, and Bernard McKinney and Brian Kirsten with 2, or well, 2.
One apiece.
4 for that rookie.
All right,
Good game for him.
Oh yeah, no forced fumbles. And the rookie Devon McBride did have a pick 6, so that was the only defensive touchdown in that game. No, nothing there.
Congratulations to the first win for the Jets.
Yeah, really.
Taking down a very hard opponent.
Really good job to the Jags right there. So going to the next one, another division game, the Eagles and the Redskins, and as you can see, the Eagles pulled out on that one, 26-13.
It looks closer in the first half. It was 10-6, and then Redskins came and led it in the third, making it 13-10. But then could not stop the Eagles in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The Eagles scored 16 points.
But Eagles led this one stat-wise. He also won the turnover battle, 3 turnovers compared to 4 by the Redskins. Red zone percentage, the Redskins did have 66%, so it looks like he missed out once. But 100% by the Eagles. Then going into passing, you see neither quarterback really having that good of a game. Carson Wentz, 168 yards, 3 interceptions, sacked 4 times. And then Kirk Cousins, 106 yards, 4 interceptions, sacked 4 times.
In the rushing game, Denolius Barker, rookie out of Georgia, 14 attempts, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Ty Montgomery, 1 yard off of 120 attempts, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And a decent game for both running backs. I think just a good game by both of them.
Yeah. Alright, so going over to receiving, nothing much here. But Jordan Reed, Jordan Reed led the Redskins, 3 receptions, 70 yards. And Alshon Jeffrey led the Eagles, 3 receptions and 49 yards.
In the defensive game, though, for sacks, Brandon Graham, not surprised, 2 leading the Eagles. Zach Brown, Ryan Kerrigan, Ryan Anderson, Preston Smith, and Fabian Morrow all having sacks.
Yeah, and then in interceptions, Ronald Darby had 3 from the Eagles, and then DJ Swearinger led the Redskins with 2 interceptions himself.
Yeah, forced fumbles.
None there.
None.
And then there was a pick 6 by Nigel Bradham from the Eagles. That's a little bit of a surprise. I don't think he's that fast.
I don't think he will either. But he got it done. Kick return or punt return, neither. Congratulations to the Eagles for winning a divisional matchup.
Alright, so the next one, the Broncos and the Cardinals. Cardinals really didn't show up in this one. It looks like 205 yards for him compared to 305 from the Broncos. And I'm not a surprise, 216 rush yards compared to 89 pass yards from the Broncos. And turnovers. Cardinals turned it over 5, while the Broncos only turned it over twice. And
I'm actually surprised there's that many pass yards for the Broncos.
yeah, it is a little bit surprised. But it looks like the Cardinals really didn't even get in the red zone.
Oh no. But in player stats for passing, Trevor Siemian 89 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 0 times.
He threw 2 touchdowns. That's a bit of a surprise.
Carson Palmer 55 yards, 3 interceptions, sacked twice.
Yep. Hold on here. And Simeon threw 2 touchdowns. His only completions were those 2 touchdowns. I just noticed that. But anyways, going into the rushing game, you see David Johnson actually out-rushing the bus, but 27 attempts, 180 yards, and a touchdown. And then Jerome the Bus Bettis, 19 attempts, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
And in receiving, not much, but Carlos Henderson, 1 reception, 63 yards, and a touchdown. And John Brown, 4 receptions, 48 yards for the Cardinals.
Yep. And then going over the defensive side, you see Von Miller leading the Broncos with 2, and Derek Wolfe and Melvin Ingram each had 1 also.
In the interceptions, Patrick Peterson, not a surprise seeing him with 2 interceptions, but Shane Ray, Shaquille Barrett, Sean Taylor, rookie out of Alabama, Akeem Talib, and Blake Gomes, rookie out of San Jose State, all having an interception for the Broncos.
Yeah, and then no, wow, that's a bit of a surprise from watching the Broncos play. But 1 defensive touchdown by Akeem Talib. Looked like it was a pick 6. No kick returns or punt returns.
Congratulations to the Broncos on that win.
All right, so going into your game here, Titans and Browns. Browns winning this one 15-3. And it was a close game yardage wise, but as you can see, 3 turnovers by the Titans, none by the Browns.
It was
red zone percentage only 33% by the Titans though. But yeah, going into passing, neither quarterback really having it. 127 yards, but no touchdowns or interceptions, so that wasn't bad by Kaiser. 129 yards. What?
At some points in that game, my guys dropped some crucial interceptions, and it kind of sucked.
Yeah, that would
suck.
His
guys played well. His guys would go down and somehow turn and get right back, but mine would not.
Alright, so 129 yards, 3 interceptions by Mariota, and sacked 9 times. Isaiah Crowell leading the Browns, 23 attempts, 77 yards, and then Mariota 8 attempts for 58 yards, and he did have a fumble. In the receiving game, not much there, but Delaney Walker led the Titans, 2 receptions, 36 yards, and Corey Coleman led the Browns with 1 reception for 36 yards. And then on defense, you see, not a surprise at all, Myles Garrett, 5 sacks. And then Jeremy Cash and Michael Bennett each tied for the lead with the Titans with 1 sack.
I would tell my line to guard Myles Garrett, and he still got through.
Yeah,
he's such a high overall right now, because last season so many people let him get so many sacks that he just won defensive rookie and defensive player, giving him so much XP.
Yeah.
He's boosted so high, he gets through any O-line. It doesn't matter what your guys are doing.
Alright, so as you can see, 3 interceptions from the Browns. Jason McCourty, Jamie Collins, and Jabril Peppers with 1 interception for 145 return yards. So it looks like he caught it, ran it to midfield, ran it back, ran it to his car. Yeah. Ran back to the locker room.
He drove it all the way to Canada. He just completely.
Yeah. But he, as you can see, it still wasn't enough for the pick 6 though. So, but one forced fumble by Myles Garrett, 1 forced fumble by Telvin Smith. No fumble recoveries. No defensive touchdowns either. No kick returns, no punt returns. So good job to the Browns there. He did start off with a bad record, but he is coming back.
I am not though. I am playing terrible right now.
Yeah.
And my guys are just not helping me out. They're playing terrible like I am.
Yeah. And another divisional game here with the Seahawks and the 49ers. As you can see, yeah, it was a really close game, and the 49ers were able to come out on this one 30-20. But 49ers leading in yards, and then as you can see, 3 turnovers compared to 5 turnovers from the Seahawks, and each having a 66 red zone percentage.
Yeah, no kidding. 6 penalty yards. That's a weird penalty yard. 6. 6 penalty yards. I don't know.
Maybe like
penalty,
a.
like you use 6
yeah,
yards.
it could be pass interference, or it could have been like half the distance to the goal, or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
But
Seahawks time of possession 17 minutes. It looks like the 49ers didn't need that much time to score.
No. But that can happen when you do throw 4 interceptions. As you could see, 156 yards, 4 interceptions by Russell Wilson. 186 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions by C.J. Beathard. And sacked 3 times by him, and then Russell Wilson was sacked 5 times.
In the rushing game, Joe Williams been a beast the last 2 seasons. 14 attempts, 129 yards, 9.2 average on a touchdown. And CJ Pro size 23 to 10, 61 yards, 2.7 average and a touchdown.
Yeah, and the 2.7 average actually came late. Early in the game, he was running really well with CJ Pro size, but after that, he was bottled up. So that's where the bad average came from. But yeah, going into receiving, you see Kenny Golladay, not a surprise at all. 3 receptions, 138 yards, and a touchdown, leading there. And then Jimmy Graham led the Seahawks with 6 receptions for 113 yards.
In defensive though, sacks came from DeForest Buckner with 4, and Nick Crawford, rookie out of Michigan State, with 2.
Yeah, and then interceptions, Barry Wade, he's had a lot of interceptions this season.
Oh yeah.
3 interceptions in this one, and then Earl Thomas led the Seahawks with 2 interceptions, and then also Reuben Foster did get 1.
Forced fumbles 3, 1 by DeForest Buckner, 1 by TJ McDonald Jr., 1 by Brendan Farquhar.
Okay, is this from Shrek? Is he from Lord Farquaad?
Yeah, he's the son of Lord Farquaad. He's actually taller though, not 4'5", he's 6'3".
Yeah. Alright though, defensive touchdown. You see Barry Wade did have one of those go for a pick 6.
Yeah. Kick return 1 by Tyler Lockett, and punt return none. So Tyler Lockett had 1 touchdown with a kick return of 103 yards.
Yeah, good return there.
Out of his end zone to the next end zone.
Yeah. Good job to the 49ers, and Seahawks actually winless this year. He did put up a good fight against the division-leading 49ers. Couldn't quite do it this time. Maybe they'll do it next time they meet. But
we come to our favorite segment. Always. For everybody to see what we think for week 8, and we ask you, everybody who watches, in the comments, who do you want? Who do you think's gonna win? Maybe you think we're right. But tell us, Lima, who is our game of the week?
So this week was actually, we were deciding between 2 games, and it was almost a flip of the coin decision. But we did decide to go with a division game here. It was the Bills and the Patriots. And the reason we chose this is because last time they played, the Patriots actually won this game, and he was the Bills' first loss of the season. And Bills actually took a couple losses in a row, but he has Shady McCoy back, and so that could be big for him. And we looked for the Bills to get his revenge in this one. That's why we chose this. We think it's going to be a really good, close divisional game. But who do you think is going to pull this one out?
Well, it comes down to what they've done all year. Juice Bake with his just the throwing, and of course BG Avedon with his rushing, and
Yeah.
it always comes down like most games. Most games it's rushing versus passing, but it's gonna be a defensive battle. Like it really is. It comes down to a really big
Yeah. And
defensive battle.
I think a couple keys for each team to win. For the Patriots, it's can he stop Shady McCoy, obviously, and you got to focus on the rush game against the Bills. If he can slow down the rush game, he's got a really good chance for this one. And then keys for the Bills to win is if he can stop the speed from the Patriots, which would be Brandon Cooks and Keith Marshall, the running back.
And it's not even just that. It turnovers. BJ Avedon, known if he passes once, he always throws an interception. It's always guaranteed he's going to throw an interception. It has been the past 2 seasons. That's why he's stuck to rushing. He knows it.
Yeah.
He knows how to work it. Juice Bag has made he's made an impact, but he's also really if he throws a bunch of interceptions for passing because he doesn't really rush the ball, it's gonna be his downfall. BG Avedon's gonna take control and go from there.
Keith Marshall does have a few good games this season though, but with the Patriots, like for the Patriots, be ready to stop the run, make him force the Bills into passing situations, and even in those passing situations, expect run. So that'd be the key for the Patriots, and then just shut down Brandon Cooks for the Bills. But
if I had to choose, I had to go with the Bills in this one. Getting back Shady McCoy, and I think he's gonna look for revenge and come in with vengeance for a win.
Yeah,
but it's gonna close. It's gonna be close.
I say the exact same thing. I think the Bills are going to win it for the reasons you said, revenge, and he gets Shady McCoy back. And I think he actually lost Shady McCoy in the Patriots game, so it's even more of looking for revenge.
Yeah.
So,
if the Patriots do force Shady McCoy into another injury, the Bills are not in it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But if no injuries involved, we do both pick the Bills over the Patriots.
It's not because the Patriots are bad guys. It's just it's how they play.
All right, here. So the last thing before we end the podcast, we go to the top players of Week 7, and really good performances from all of these guys. Latavius Murray, 280 yards, 26 carries, and he had 3 rushing touchdowns. And then Aaron Rodgers, 353. That was in the force win, but 353 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack. And then defensive side, you see Wade. He did have the pick 6. Yeah.
Right. 6 tackles, 3 interceptions, 2 tackles, 4 interceptions, each having a pick 6. Definitely good games by the strong safeties in that.
Yeah.
But of course, guys, we always say this. If you did enjoy, hit that like button. If you're new or returning, you just haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to know when we go live or post a video. And of course, I'm your host of videos. Alongside us is our host, Nima.
Yeah. Good luck to everyone this week. As you guys know, this is week 8, and our power rankings come out every 4 weeks, so the new power rankings will drop after this next advance. But thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the next Combo League podcast.